The Resistance Front, this proxy organization of the Lashkar-e-Toiba and the one responsible for the dastardly Pahalgam terror attack, as well as few attacks earlier in the recent past. In a major diplomatic and a strategic victory, India was able to convince the US State Department to declare it as a terrorist organization. And this is important because just a few months back, India could not deliver this from the UNSC, where China and Pakistan blocked the mention of the TRF in the statement which was issued soon after the Pahalgam attack. Today I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Siddhant Mishra, who looks at diplomacy very closely for us, and Arunima, who looks at internal security, to discuss how important this is and what is the way forward. How will this help India, expose Pakistan-based terror in the coming days? So Siddhant, how significant is this development? After the UNSC setback, as I've said, the US doing this, how significant is it?
Well, Aman, it's very, very significant. Also, given the kind of statements that we all have been hearing from Trump administration in last 3 months, taking credit for the understanding reached between India and Pakistan, then inviting Asim Munir to White House, etc., etc. We saw all those things. Now, there was this chatter, Aman, and in fact, many strategic experts also were talking about this. That there has been a consistent policy of the US government when it comes to cooperation with India as far as counter-terrorism is concerned. And this has been going on from a very long time. In fact, after 26/11 also, it was United States which helped India getting Pak-based terror groups sanctioned, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc. So now, the strategic experts were also talking about this, that has there been a change in US policy? After Trump coming to power, is there going to be no support from the United States at the international institutions and forum? But this particular development once again, reaffirms the US-India close cooperation when it comes to combating terrorism. Designating TRF is not only sanctioning one particular terror entity, but also a recognition of the fact that it was a cross-border terrorism. What happened in Pahalgam was orchestrated was planned and executed from the Pakistani soil. So it's a big victory for Indian diplomacy.
So for our viewers, Arunima, let's also break down what is TRF. Because many won't say what is TRF. Is it a shadowy front? What is our understanding of the TRF, and what is its terror history as such?
So the terrorist front was started by Pakistan. This was India's intelligence agencies believe that when FATF pressure started mounting on Pakistan for Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toiba, when the world started seeing Pakistan for what it is, United Nations Sanction Committee was looking at Jaish and Lashkar, Pakistani, entire army. After 26/11, the dossiers that India provided, it was clear that these were not non-state actors anymore. It was an active involvement of Pakistani army and ISI. So Pakistan was desperate to look for a way out and to show what was happening in Kashmir as an indigenous struggle, not supported by Pakistan. Hence the name. That's why you see the Resistance Front uses the word resistance very strategically, because they wanted to showcase TRF as a terror group which was pushing back against India's occupation. That was entire strategy behind why TRF was created. Who are the TRF cadre? What we also saw in a departure was, earlier there was Hizbul Mujahideen, there was Lashkar-e-Toiba, there was Jaish-e-Mohammed, there was Harkatul Ansar. There were separate groups, and each group had its own speciality. Each group was given by Pakistani bosses a separate role to carry out. But when TRF was created, that cadre separation ended. TRF, even though it is looked at as a front of Lashkar-e-Toiba, you would see cadres from Hizbul also coming in. Overground workers who had at one time helped Jaish-e-Mohammed were now hand in glove with TRF, and they started at a very small scale by using small arms, targeted killings, killing of Fuchka wala or Golgappe wala in Srinagar, or targeted killing of a chemist. That's how TRF started developing, and it started using cadre which was looking like, a term hybrid terrorist was coined. These were people who were ordinary students or engineering graduates by the day, but actually if you dug deeper, you could see they were collaborating with Lashkar-e-Toiba so that this facade could be created that TRF was an indigenous struggle. After Pahalgam, however, like Siddhant also explained, India went all out. because here was their chance to tell the world what TRF stood for really and how the umbilical cord stretched all the way to ISI.
And very interestingly, Arunima, what happened soon after the Pahalgam attack was that TRF claimed responsibility. It hadn't repeated its claim, and then within 48 hours, it withdrew its claim. So that is also that India highlights at how Pakistan realized maybe that TRF's claiming responsibility for this attack will clearly backfire for it.
It had never happened before, because every time such a terror attack was carried out, it was worn like a badge of honor. Even in Pulwama, if you see, the main suspect, now no longer alive, the one who drove the car, soon after there was a video released of the Pulwama attacker as well, where he said that, this was a big sacrifice that he was making for the sake of the Kashmiri population, for the sake of a larger good of Kashmir. TRF's claiming that they have done Pahalgam and then going back on it and making a bizarre claim saying our social media account was hacked and our voices were, superimposed using artificial intelligence. Nobody believed it. Even people in Kashmir who could have some sympathy for, the TRF cadre did not believe what was being said. This was India's chance to really go for TRF, and whatever Pakistan and China might have tried in United Security Council, UN Security Council, Pakistan is at the helm of affairs currently, as luck would have it, and Siddhant can dwell on it more. But India was going all out. The NIA charge sheets against TRF previously were shared also because ED is looking at the money laundering cases as well. How was money really reaching these terror groups? All of these documents, well vetted by courts here in India, were shared with US Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, vetted by the topmost intelligence officials in US, shared with the United States Congress in confidentiality. So it was a huge act, just like 2611, to get together the evidence and convince United States. And it's just step one. India is convinced that at FATF, once again, we can put out these details, these dossiers, to push for Pakistan's grey listing because of the way it is supporting TRF.
I'll just come to the FATF point in a bit, back to you. But as Arunima was mentioning, this TRF withdrawing the responsibility, also was much in light of what happened in the UNSC, and Pakistan and China prevailed, so that the statement issued soon after didn't have a mention of the TRF. But Siddhant, coming from the US State Department now, in fact, the US State Department process of putting a organizational terrorist outfit is a very meticulous process.
Yeah.
It goes
Evidentiary, merit-based.
Yes, far more rigorous than the UNSC. So this is also, I think, a major success of India and maybe also of the Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar.
Absolutely, Aman, and this all started right after Foreign Minister's visit to DC for the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting, and in fact, right after that, he held talks with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio was explained about TRF's role. And from the next day, the process started, and day before yesterday, it got announced by the State Department. Also, Aman, very important to highlight.
There was lot happening behind the scenes also. That means by India.
Absolutely. There was a Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri's visit. India did outreach by sending multi-party delegation. And you remember, Aman, during Shashi Tharoor's delegation also, this question was asked to them: where are the evidence? Why are you fixing TRF, etc., etc.? So but US is now the first country to designate TRF as a terror group. So this process has started. The end game of TRF begins. Now we would see more countries to be sanctioning, to be designating TRF as terrorist in days to come. Also, Aman, very important to highlight, 25th April statement of UNSC. Right after that, Ishaq Dar claimed in the House that, we got the name of TRF deleted. He was counting it as one of the achievements of his foreign policy. But the fact is, that very day only Pakistan got exposed. That if you have no links to TRF, then why Pakistan shielded TRF in UNSC? Mind it, at that point in time in UNSC, India's focus was to get a statement so that that statement can be made as a context to launch Operation Sindoor. So India's focus was on that, and on the basis of that statement only, the Operation Sindoor was launched, and Pakistan was busy shielding TRF. So in a way, Indian diplomacy fooled Pakistani diplomacy in UNSC, and India used its diplomatic might through United States, through France, to get the statement, which said that the perpetrators should be brought to justice, and that was used as a context to launch a strike.
That's very significant, actually, what Siddhant is pointing out, that how the back of the scenes diplomacy, steered by S. Jaishankar, steered by India's diplomatic machinery, has brought about this success. But Arunima, there's also a lot said that what really happens, UN Security State Department can declare someone a terrorist. We still have Hafiz Saeed and Maulana Masood Azhar, walking freely in Pakistan. Does this really amount to much? And the point that you were mentioning, that how it will help India at the FATF when the meeting happens in September.
I think that's the real focus. Now that United States has brought TRF in its list of organizations which are sanctioned. Whether the United Nations Sanction Committee does it, that could be a bonus. But at FATF, if India can once again, like it has done in the past, push for evidence to show that TRF is just one more attempt by Pakistan to help terror organizations, and the funding, how is it reaching TRF? It is laundered money that is being given to Pakistan by the United States, by the international community to help in mitigation of various disasters or economic aid. How it is actually being laundered away to groups like TRF. If India can put up that evidence in black and white, Pakistan will, I mean, nobody is saying that this will be the end of terrorism, but like they have been forced to take a backseat for 2-3 years in Kashmir, they had to come up with a new brainchild in the form of TRF. They will suffer a setback if at FATF we manage to put this out and push for grey listing once again.
Very, very clearly, the India maybe have had a big victory with the US listing of TRF, but the real game, I think, happens in September when the FATF meets, because India would want to push Pakistan back into the grey list at the FATF, something which could also probably affect their IMF funding, and that could be the real strike that India is aiming at Pakistan-based terrorism. Thanking so much everybody for joining us on Reporters Roundtable.